Hello. Today I'll be talking about the significance of life on the road. I talk about the significance of life on the road rather than the significance of On the Road by Jack Kerouac because the reality of it is the book is barely even a book. Sure, it has pages, it has multiple chapters, it has sentences. It's a book. But really, it's a Benny-induced frenzy of a story. It's poetry. It's a rant. And moreover than that, it's a rant about soul. I say the significance of life on the road because that's what the book is really about. It's about life on the road. It's a recounting of real life happenings. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It'll make you love. It'll make you judge these degenerate idols that we call heroes in the story. It's life on the road because that's what they're exploring. The nature of human life. The different experiences that one gets by just meeting new people, finding new places, experiencing new things. This is about passion, about meaning, about energy, about trying to find what this crazy, convoluted, completely nuts reality is all about. So, to understand the context of the novel, we have to take a look at Jean-Louis Lebris de Kerouac. Now, I don't speak French, but I hope I did that justice. Jean-Louis Lebris, or otherwise known as Jack Kerouac, was born to French-Canadian speaking parents, immigrants from Canada. And he has a tortured, messed up backstory, just like anybody in his field, or most people in this field. His brother died right when he was graduating high school. His parents, borderline alcoholics, abusive, run of the mill. He gets athletic scholarships to Columbia University, which he eventually drops out of. He actually met Allen Ginsberg in Columbia University, funnily enough. But we'll get more on that later. He spends 3 months in the Merchant Marine, drops out of that, 8 days of Navy, is honorably discharged because he didn't pass the psychiatric evaluations. The reasons he didn't pass these psychiatric evaluations are probably very same reasons why he was able to create such an impactful literary novel. He had a few screws loose. That's Kerouac. That's the beats. He's involved in a murder trial. He goes to jail. He marries this woman, Ivy Parker, simply to make bail. No other reason. They unsurprisingly divorce, I think, in 2 years due to infidelity. He moves back to New York City to live with his parents. He finds the New York City underbelly where he meets all these freaks, these geeks, these characters. And this is really where we start the novel. He is broke. He's jobless. He's wifeless. He's beat down. He has nowhere to go. And he meets this man, Dean Moriarty. I first met Dean not long after my wife and I split up. I had just gotten over a serious illness that I won't bother to talk about, except that it had something to do with the miserably weird split up and my feeling that everything was dead. With the coming of Dean Moriarty began the part of my life you could call my life on the road. And this is where we start, with him in the gutter, with him beat down, with him just meeting this character named Dean. And we start at 100 miles an hour, and we don't let up until the end of the novel. Seriously. Uh, Dean is based off of this real life man named Neil Cassidy. He is a man on fire. He is wildly obsessed with everything. He incites action. He pushes everything to its limit. He is wildly passionate. He's sex obsessed. He's drug obsessed. He's life obsessed. I use the term degenerate idols, and he is the epitome of this. He is anti-establishment. He does what he wants. He doesn't care about other people's rules that they have for him. He is so interested in every little aspect of life. Every little thing is beautiful to him and is interesting. Is the most interesting thing in the world. And he's so passionate. It's almost addicting to read about him. Every single scene that Dean is in, whether he's singing about whatever it is, whatever it may be, this man, he sings and he shouts through life. He dances in his movements. He is passionate. He is wild. He has his flaws like anybody else, but he's this almost twisted, tortured angel. And that's how he's described a lot. In the context of the Beat generation and the Beat movement, and in the literary terms of the novel, he represents the eternal flame of youth. The wild, passionate interest that children have about every little thing. How he feels so deeply, how everything is like a new experience to him. It truly is beautiful to read about him. I want you particularly to see the eyes of this little Mexican boy who is the son of our wonderful friend Victor, and notice how he will come to manhood with his own particular soul be speaking itself through the windows which are his eyes, and such lovely eyes surely do prophesy and indicate the loveliest of souls. I mentioned before that this book is about life, and Dean has a beautiful way of viewing life. When he finds something beautiful, he has no hesitation to comment on it. When he finds something impactful and meaningful to him, he's obsessed with it. And he wants to share it with everybody around him. He's like a star exploding in every single which way possible at any given moment. And his insights into life and humanity and the nature of things, it's really profound in a lot of ways. But to understand the Beat movement, the movement in which this book ignited, sparked in a lot of ways, we understand the background of jazz, drugs, and poetry, which is the same backdrop of the book. It started by a small group of friends, namely Kerouac, Burroughs, Ginsberg. And what it does is effectively create a contemporary counterculture. They want to reclaim poetry for the people, none of this literary formalism that the 50s are used to. They want to infiltrate the establishment, the literary establishment, that is, with their own works, their own poems, their own viewpoints and thoughts. They resent this idea that the established education system and the established rules for certain books and literary types are so in stone, and they don't believe that to be the case at all. They want this revolution of art and culture. They incorporate and believe in a lot of Eastern spiritualities, such as Taoism, Buddhism. The idea that everybody is on their own path and capable of creating their own choices and setting values to the things that they want to set value to. They create this new vision. They want you to think what you want to think, do what you want to do, marry who you want to marry, have the amount of kids that you want to have control over your own life rather than this established precursor of the perfect family, the perfect job, the perfect life. There's no such thing. Your life, as you want to lead it, is already the perfect life. The term beat was coined by Kerouac himself, and it represents the utter exhaustion of being down and out, of living in a society that doesn't want you, of being broke, of being dirty, of being in the gutter, of viewing the world from the mud's perspective. Because if you're already in the mud, you're gonna see everything as beautiful. And the secret is everything is beautiful. So again, what are they countering? They're countering the new steel society, the monotonous assembly lines, the growing class division, the differences between the super rich and the super poor. They're resenting and countering spending life according to other people's rules. They're countering literary formalism, sexual oppression, materialism, capitalism. Well, at least the capitalistic natures of American society and culture. That is, they a lot of different people with their own ideologies try to use the beat movement to push their own agendas, namely such as communism. A lot of communists got behind the beat movement. Kerouac, Ginsberg, Burroughs, they themselves never claimed any such ideologies, and I don't think they really cared one way or the other, so long as they were free to live their life according to their own rules. On the Road was published in 1957. It was written in 2 weeks on a Benzedrine frenzy. That's what Kerouac would do. That was his preferred writing style. He would spend a few weeks, days just sleeping, resting, exercising, going on runs and stuff like that. Because when he got down to writing, he would get hopped up on Benzedrine. He would be drinking, and he would be writing for 24 hours straight, 48 hours straight, 72 hours straight, just nonstop, just going crazy. And really, it comes through in a lot of the ways that he writes. It's like basically one run-on sentence written on a single piece of paper. Interestingly enough, he had this like 12 or 14-foot long scroll of paper that he fed through his typewriter machine, and he just typed it away. And they were actually going to print it as the scroll and sell it in scroll form, but they figured that it would reach a wider audience in book form, and went on from there. But this piece of literature changed American culture at its roots. It woke people up from the materialistic rut that they kept finding themselves in, the cycle of working for somebody you don't want to work with and buying things that you think you need, but you really don't. These degenerate idols. Yeah, they're dirty, they're gross, they're poor, they go against the mainstream. They're highly flawed individuals. They're womanizers, they're alcoholics, they're drug addicts. But their passion for life, their ability to see things in the soul of humanity in such a way, it's inspiring, it's beautiful, and we idolize it, idolize their passion for everything around them. We need more passion. There's not enough of it in today's society because people don't know what to be passionate about. It's hard to be passionate about materialistic things when you hate the means of getting them. People learn to appreciate this passion. I mentioned before that this book is about life and the significance of life. It takes you through the highest of the highs, but it also takes you through the lowest of the lows. The joys that you get from reading about the jazz musicians and the sunrises and different people that you meet is so beautifully counterbalanced by the sadness of it all and the absurdity of living life poor like that, of seeing the deprivation that so many people face day to day. It's a book about humanity. You can't deny the sadness of it, but yet, interestingly enough, the sadness is what makes you feel it all the more deeply and appreciate the lows and the highs and the feelings of that humans are so blessed to be able to feel. And it reminds you of God in a lot of ways. And that's not an accident. Kerouac was a deeply devout Christian, just intrinsically through childhood. That's what he learned. Um, and images of God and angels and heaven and hell come up throughout the novel. Most notably, good old George Shearing, the blind pianist that Dean and Sal go to see. He's jumping, he's moving, he's grooving, he's sweating, he's laughing, he's jumping up and down in his chair, he's riding this piano and sending out rolling waves of notes and keys, and it's the description of it is beautiful, and the whole time you hear Dean jumping up and down, like yelling, "Look at that! That's God! That's God! That's good old George Shearing." God in the chair, and when he's eventually over, he's seeing this chair. And look at that! That's God's empty chair. Excuse me. That's God's empty chair. The horizons of the west, the ocean, the sky, the eyes of children. Dean himself is depicted as this fallen angel. The energy of jazz. God is everywhere. God is the soul of people, preserved in the one place where soul can be preserved, especially in a time like times in the present, on the road. You can't get soul staying in one place. You have to experience it for yourself, from all these different people, from all these different backgrounds and experiences and cultures and places. And God is soul. And soul is everywhere. So I'll leave you off with this quote. Not from On the Road, but it is still a Kerouac quote. It says to practice kindness all day to everybody, and you'll realize you're already in heaven now. This is the main message of the book. You're already in heaven, so why waste it in a hell of a cubicle, working for these fallen, twisted demons that drive you to work for them and do their bidding. People should treat people how they want to be treated, which is kind, which is with niceness. Because this is a good reality that we are in, a good universe filled with unparalleled beauties. And we should respect that with exuding the same amount of positivity that the universe exudes to us. This is a book about life, a book about joy, a book about sadness, it's a book about soul, the exploration, and experiences, and doing and making what you want out of this life. Thank you.